Hey folks, I'm totally not named Dan, though you can call me that if you want, and I'm back again with my buddy, Yuna the Sheep.
Hey, thanks for having me here, and always down for more videos.
Yeah, so today, Yuna, we're here specifically because there's been a new Ban and Errata update, the community been clamoring for it for ages, and, well, Jasco have finally caved, I guess.
Yeah, it was a thing. It was a long time coming of people wanting some new ban list hits. Since I really started the game, this is the first ban list I've been around for, because I started when Amphibious and such got banned, but that was like the week I kind of started playing. So
no, you were here for the set 4 ban list, which actually was just Errata to make things like Magna work.
Yeah, I forgot that counts as like a ban list last Errata, but nothing actually got a hit. It was just Erratas.
Yeah, and I love that they specifically just errated 2 colons onto Magna's card.
Yeah, but it matters.
Yeah, of course. Punctuation matters in card games. But yeah, today, I don't think anyone's happy with this ban list. I don't think Jasco wanted to do it. I don't think the community appreciate it. I certainly don't. This is a stupid ban list.
It needed to do more, I feel like.
It needed to do way more.
Yeah. I feel like part of it is because we're still part of the regional licensing exam period, that they're not wanting to do too many big changes during that period, so hopefully when those end, we'll get a bigger one.
Well, they specifically put this off till after the Florida event, so they've already got past the big event. They didn't want to ban anything before, but who knows?
There's still plenty more to come, so maybe that's why.
I mean, they say they're just waiting to see more, really, but I'm skeptical.
Yeah. But I know, obviously, I come from Yu-Gi-Oh! Where they tend to avoid ban lists in the middle of, like, big event seasons and such.
Jasco haven't done that in the past. My favorite story that way is Nationals one year, UK Nationals. During round 2 of the tournament, people came up and said, oh, by the way, this card is banned as of now.
Wait, as of now?
Obviously, if you'd already registered the card for the event, they couldn't stop you registering it, so you were allowed to finish the event with it. But if theoretically somebody turned up in the middle of round 2, they couldn't use the card.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's specifically because ban lists were done via American time zones at the time.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
But it was wild. And to be fair, Ballistic Snap Kick totally justified it. That card was stupid.
A lot of old cards are stupid.
However, we do have a few cards like Ballistic Snap Kick in My Hero now. The most notable one being Compression Sphere.
Yeah.
Compression Sphere is a great card, especially for Toga to trigger her ability on the opponent's turn. It's after you block with this, your rival discards a momentum and loses a health. This cannot reduce them below 1 health. The thing with Ballistic Snap Kick is it was 2 rather than 1, so it killed a lot quicker. It did actually have the ability to kill, it didn't have that last line of text. And also, there were ways in the format to recur it. There are now ways in the format to recur Compression Sphere, so I guess we'll see how things go.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to say the least.
Moving on, though, to today's list of bans and errata. We have, over the past few weeks, the team at Jasco Games has been closely monitoring the My Hero Academia only format used at provisional and RLE events after analysing several weeks' worth of data as well as interviewing players from diverse play communities across the world and observing our own internal playtests. We've decided to make the following changes effective Monday, April 24th.
Yeah.
So, at the time of recording, this isn't quite in effect, but by the time you see this video, it will be. And, yeah, the community say that they don't feel seen by all of this. I think that's ridiculous, personally, because these first 2 pieces of errata are exactly what the community suggested to me, rather than Jasco actually thinking about it and doing something intelligent.
Yeah.
We have Mashirao Ojiro 2 receives the following errata to its first enhance ability. Interesting that it's its and not his here.
Yeah.
Clearly not seeing the card as a character. The old version was enhance this attack gets +1 speed and +1 damage for each different printed attack zone in your card pool. It's now Enhance, this attack gets +1 speed or +1 damage for each different printed attack zone in your card pool. Then the second ability of the character is, well, it was enhance once per turn, add 1 attack from your card pool to your hand, only playable if there are 3 different printed attack zones in your card pool. It's now enhance commit, add 1 attack from your card pool to your hand, only playable if there are 3 different printed attack zones in your card pool. So, interestingly, on this second one, it is not a full-on nerf. Because if you can find a way to ready Ojiro, you can now use the ability twice, or even more.
Yeah.
Realistically, though, this is going to nerf him because readying characters is insanely hard.
There's very few things other than a character on face doing it that I know of that actually does it in my hero.
So what this ultimately says is that he can no longer just pick up an attack, throw it, get all his bonuses on it again.
Yeah.
Because he has to be committed, he can't use his first enhance during that attack. So what it basically means is that his 4th attack of the turn is useless.
Yeah, the second enhance was a problem, but it wasn't the main problem of Ojiro.
So my main problem with Ojiro is that I went to a Nationals qualifying event, faced Ojiro, and 2 games in a row, Ojiro completely failed to draw Student of the Art and to draw a 3rd zone. So the second ability was completely irrelevant because he had no ability to do it anyway. It was just the buff from that first ability, pushing him to impossible speeds, that made it impossible to block any of his stuff, and so I just died in 3 hits despite the fact that he only had 2 zones.
Yeah, and it's that gaining the speed, because his symbols like Earth just already have so many ways to increase the damage and stuff that you don't super need the damage, it was just an extra bonus to it.
You say that,
free speed.
But it's not just the free speed, because Earth also has One with Nature.
Yeah,
so
we all know how good that is.
Yeah, One with Nature is great. One with Nature, people were saying should be banned. It has not been banned. It has not been errated. They have done nothing to it. And personally, I think that's fine. Because what One with Nature really needs is more counterplay. You know, discard a card +2 speed is not a problem. Discard a card +2 speed +1 damage, it's pushing the envelope, it's not a problem. What is a problem is there's a block modifier change, and only 1 card in the game at this current time interacts with block modifier changes.
I can't even remember what that card is that it's obscure.
It's determined from the new All Might versus All for One starter rival clash, whatever you want to call it, decks.
Oh yeah, that card.
Yeah, it just resets the block modifier to 0 if your symbols match enough.
Yeah.
Which is great. It's great counterplay for One with Nature, but we need more of that.
Yeah. The only thing I would ever want them to say change on One with Nature, if you did get it in Errata, would be if they made the plus damage or make one of the effects of it once per turn, maybe. But even then, I don't feel it's super needed. It just needs more ways to counteract it in the game.
Yeah. Would you say that snack time is busted?
No.
Right, and One with Nature is just snack time, but less interactable. But yeah, this is one of the things, is people are saying, oh, the new Ojiro is fine, it's basically just bad Midnight. No. Midnight doesn't also, in addition to speed buff, get to play Texas Smash and One with Nature in the same deck, and that makes all the difference as far as I'm concerned. Because you've got big damage, you've got additional fake speed, in addition to the real speed buff, and yeah, you just get to throw 3 unblockable attacks and your opponent just melts.
Yeah.
Because yeah, as said, it's the unblockability of everything that's the problem here. You now have the choice of plus speed or plus damage. They might as well have just got rid of the plus damage. You should never go for that. Unless you can guarantee that your opponent cannot block you, they have no cards in hand or whatever, you want that plus speed every single time. The plus damage is just a trap.
There's no point having 1,000,000 damage if it has 1 speed and they can block it.
Yeah. Unless, of course, you somehow make it a throw. And
but
so,
again,
this doesn't change the relevant part of Ojiro, which is that plus speed.
And that's not easy to deal with, and that's why, for these events coming up, I was thinking of playing a more defensive character for this, but he just can't, when they're making stuff too unblockable, I don't see if I could actually win with these more defensive characters.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think Mineta might stand a chance here, but the problem is Mineta goes too long game. eventually Ojiro's just going to get enough hits in.
Yeah, that was my thinking with Mineta. It's like, yeah, he can easily last like 2-3 turns against them, but Mineta can't kill them in those turns.
Yeah, my question is Nomu the way to go now?
Ooh, I've not looked too much at Nomu.
Ah, crap. Yuna, you've ceased to exist again. I don't know why Discord's doing this. I also don't know how long Discord's been doing that for right now, but I guess you're just going to have to deal with it in the video, I'm afraid.
Damn you, Discord.
Yeah. We got to find a better way of sharing your virtual self.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to share with you this. This is my edit to Ojiro, which I think actually fixes the problem. Can you see what's different?
The fact that it said other, which was something I think we both agreed on.
Yeah.
That if it was other, it would only get a max of a +2.
Yeah.
If they have all 3 symbols.
At this point, you know, yes, it's plus speed and plus damage, which people think is a problem. It's not a problem. The damage doesn't matter. What matters is the fact that with this, he doesn't get a free +1 speed for every attack for doing nothing. That then scales to higher. It now scales from 0 to 2 rather than from 1 to 3. And this would actually stop Ojiro being a problem.
Because, yeah, you can have +1/+1 all you want, but that doesn't make a character busted because Magna does that pretty much.
Yeah.
And Magna isn't super broken at all. I think
Magna's barely playable, if that.
Magna has the +1/+1 as long as you build your deck around an even, and she's not seen at all. Only really me I've seen. They even thought about playing her at all, so giving +1/+1 to attacks doesn't really matter. Yeah, you could argue that Ojiro has better symbols, but each symbol has their own strengths and weaknesses to him.
But the thing with Ojiro is that he could specifically just run entirely 4-speed attacks, say. And then everything becomes a 5, your opponent can't block without committing.
Yeah.
And that's before you add speed via any other means. That's before his bonus stacks upwards. He was just ridiculous.
Like, he would still be good, but not broken anymore.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I don't really care about Ojiro killing me. If he does his thing, if he gets his 3 zones, if he goes off, if he picks up his card. What I care about is the fact that, as is, even after this errata, he never needs to see that 3rd zone. He can just go off, he can just kill people on 2.
Yeah, and like, I don't mind being, as you said, killed if a character does their stuff, because if they're working fully well, doing all their things they excel at doing, they should be putting themselves at a winning position, so it's understandable to lose. But if they're only doing half of that, and they're always going to basically win, it shouldn't be the case.
Yeah, I mean, Jasco complain here about Ojiro basically killing on turn 2 all the time and stopping people from playing the game because they don't get their own turn 2. I understand that issue. That's fair. But what I care about is that happening even on a bad draw from Ojiro. Ojiro doesn't have to play the game well himself for you to not be able to play the game. And yeah, okay, it needs ways to interact with it. There are some ways to interact with it. Maybe not enough just yet, but that's the thing. I want to see Ojiro be able to win when he's winning, not win when he's drawing terribly.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to see when he's doing his thing, people interacting with him. I don't personally see these changes making that any more likely.
Wouldn't even really call it a band-aid fix, to be honest.
It's... maybe they should have just been more full-on Kirishima with him. But I think, to be honest, if they just put the other there, that would have been fine.
Yeah, other would have made it... It would need to do his stuff to do well.
Yeah.
Which nobody had a problem with. Well, for the most part, at least.
So the other card that's on this list, the one other card, because while people wanted so many things hit, most of them didn't need it. People were saying Tokoyami again. Tokoyami's been nerfed enough. You know, I was playing all my 1 and stopping Tokoyami and backswinging for stupid.
Yeah.
The fact that all my 1 is still winning against what's supposedly a high-tier deck shows that that's really not a problem.
Yeah, Tokoyami, he's a good character still, but he's not nigh unstoppable.
No, he's definitely not a problem character the way he was. And even when he was a problem character, his own cards worked better in All Might 4. So All Might has always been the answer to Tokoyami, it seems.
I want to say even Tiger has his own answer to some of Tokoyami stuff. With Eyes of the Tiger, being able to stop checks from being modified.
Yeah, it's a useless card in most matchups, but put it in that one and it's crazy stupid. But yeah, the other card that they've hit is Ready, Get, Set, Go, which is very interesting to me because Ready, Get, Set, Go has never been a problem.
No.
At least not from a gameplay standpoint.
Yeah, and as well, they said a lot of this is to make games go longer, but if anything, if the player going second active, it's Ready, Get, Set, Go, they're going to likely survive an attacking turn by having those extra foundations.
Well, except do they even get extra foundations? Because the thing is, you keep a high foundation hand, right?
Yeah.
You specifically partial Paris mulligan to get a high foundation hand.
Yeah.
Then you play Ready, Get, Set, Go. You take 3 cards out your hand, 2 of which are foundations. You don't have to draw foundations to be able to actually even get the benefit of that. Otherwise, they're just helping you pass the checks for your other foundations.
Yeah, and if you're going to be dying turn 2, you're going to not want to be committing for those foundations anyway.
Yeah, and there's a good chance that you don't actually draw more foundations when you draw up to replace the foundations you put down. I don't think Ready, Get, Set, Go is the guaranteed +2 that people make it out to be. In fact, I know it's not, because previously I've drawn hands which were the ridiculous 2 Ready, Get, Set, Go, 4 foundations, thrown down 4 foundations on my opponent's first turn, then gone into my turn, drawn 1 foundation, and not actually been ahead of my opponent at all at the end of the turn.
I get, on paper, it does seem really busted to get those 2 free foundations on your opponent's turn, but in practice, a lot less good than it seems. It's still very good, but nowhere needing a ban. And I can see a lot from maybe the casual standpoint, because that they could see it a lot more unfair.
So, the issue that's being discussed here is that it's practically free to put it in the deck, right?
Not really.
Well, kinda, yeah. Because if you check a 4, the card removes itself, you draw a replacement card. It is essentially a nothing card. I have definitely put it in decks for that reason. But at the same time, I've been explaining this to people, and they've been like, no, you might have to commit something. I mean, what if I check one of my 2s? And that's 2 things I've got to commit. That really screws over my kill turn. I'm just sitting there like, you know what? With 2s in your deck, I understand. That makes sense. It's not a free deck building choice. You've got to choose between running this or running bad checks. And some decks really do want those bad check cards in them.
Yeah. I've avoided mostly running 2 checks in my decks, but the ones I've added to my decks have been very good, powerful cards for that deck. And
yeah,
sometimes they're built around a 2-check card because it's that good.
And if it was on symbol, Ready, Get, Set, Go in All Might 1 would be terrible. Because, yeah, All Might 1 wants to be able to gain more foundations, definitely, so that he can pass his kill turn guaranteed. But at the same time, All Might 1 wants to be still surviving when he checks a 2. And so if he throws down a 4 difficulty, and he checks a 2, then he's got to start committing during his kill turn. That's terrible for him. And he needs that 2 check. That 2 check is the one card which guarantees he gets the stupid damage. Definitely, it's not as free as Jasco make it out to be. It's not as free as people who haven't really thought about the meta make it out to be. And also, if you're running to a strict 50 cards like I try to do, it's actually really difficult to squeeze it in sometimes.
Yeah.
Because it's not a card that helps you win, really. Ready, Get, Set, Go is just a -4 deck size, almost.
Yeah. And obviously, yeah, if say you've built the 46-card deck and you're missing 4 and Ready, Get, Set, Goes on somebody, you might as well throw in those 4, but a lot of the times I'm cutting stuff down to 50 when I'm making my decks.
Yeah. And, you know, personally, I don't think it's a problem that they've banned it. I think it's fine. But I do think this was unnecessary.
Yeah, I'm the same. Like, I can see why people would want it banned, but I don't see why it was and don't think it needed to be. But I'm not going to argue for it to, like, immediately come off it with a massive mistake.
It's also super interesting, because for a while this was the first thing that responded to your opponent playing multiple foundations in a turn. But now we've got, on a completely different set of symbols, Cremation, which does that.
Which is a very strong card in and of itself as well. Just getting free stuff is always somewhat usable.
Yeah, free momentum's great, but the point is, it's not even unique in what it does. So okay, finally we got the justification from Jasco of why not more changes. Bans and Errata are powerful tools to help ensure fun, interactive gameplay in the UniVersus TCG, but they come with costs as well. Accordingly, we try to minimize our use of them with the aim of making necessary adjustments with as few changes as possible at any given time. This doesn't mean we won't make additional changes if necessary, as they come up, and we will continue to monitor the health of our formats in the coming weeks to examine the impact of these changes. It's important to give you, our players, the opportunity to adjust to the changes and see what new strategies come from them. Yeah, this is just waffle. This is nothing.
Yeah, it's just basically just saying that, oh, if things are still broken, we'll hit them at a later time. That's all it is.
Yeah. I do like that there's also here a why Errata and not banning for Ojiro. One of the strengths of the UniVersus TCG is allowing fans to experience characters from many of their favourite worlds combined together. Because the big characters in those worlds are a key driver of interest in UniVersus, it's a problem removing one entirely from the game. That's why you'll see us biased towards Errata for adjusting character cards, while bannings are reserved for non-character cards. Okay. So the issue with that is that we actually have 2 Ojiros, so even if they banned this Ojiro, that would not be removing a character from the game.
Yeah. Like, if there was only one Ojiro and it wouldn't make sense to put Ojiro in a future set, I could see that, but if there's already one playable, and Ojiro is in Class 1A, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets an Ojiro free at some point.
Now, personally, I do quite appreciate them going Errata rather than ban, but at the same time, this justification is nonsense.
Yeah, I do agree you shouldn't get rid of a character because people build decks around them. Just because there is an Ojiro 1 doesn't mean that the deck would work with Ojiro 1. So it means you can still play with Ojiro 2 with your deck, just that it's less powerful now.
Yes, I will say with regards to that, Kirishima 1, they basically banned him for 2 sets, because that Errata was so ridiculous in nerfing him that basically any deck that had previously worked with him was completely unplayable.
Yeah, which is never a good thing to do, especially when it's not like it's a card in a deck where you can just take them out. You build your deck around a character in this, so...
Yeah, so I will be showing off another Kirishima deck in the not-too-distant future that makes Kirishima 1 work even with his Errata, but it's taken a long time and a lot of effort to make that actually viable.
Yeah, because I've heard you talk about this deck with Kirishima 1 for a good while now, and it's been a good while since I've seen you start to brew this thing together.
Yeah, well, it took a lot of collecting promos. It's... people who've seen my streams have seen it, but it's not been quite good enough to get that win yet, so I can't talk about it just yet. I still need to make the tweaks, give it the power that it needs. It just needs more damage. It still has everything else it needs.
Just proxy all the cards to be just like 1 higher printed damage.
Well, I mean, at that point, we might as well replace Missouri Smash with Flipcat, right? Wait, with Cat Spike.
Maybe.
Anyway. Yeah, that's it for the bans and Errata for today. There really was just the 2 cards, and it really should have been so much more, or at least a more thought out Errata to Ojiro, if nothing else. But then, since this video was recorded, there's been an entirely new announcement from Jasco about their bans and Erratas that basically says Ojiro was never a problem competitively, only taking Ojiro to smaller events where people felt he was oppressive was an issue, which is a very interesting way to look at it. Apparently the tournament data said there was nothing wrong with him and only the player response did. So I'm not sure what was going on with Jasco's reaction there. You'd think, putting out another ban and Errata list announcement, they'd do something more, given that he's still clearly an issue. But instead, they've just said, no, he's fine, and we won't ban anything now, but we'll look at it again first Tuesday of every month, and we'll keep you updated. So, nice that we've got a time for when bans and Erratas will be updated in the future, but kind of freaking sucks that they're not dealing with the actual problem right now. And in addition to fixing Ojiro, I personally think that Student of the Art needs to lose its Ojiro-specific text.
I can see that, and then it'll be good, but it'll be at the same power level as everything else, whereas now, he's still I feel a little bit above the rest, so I'm still keeping Ojiro very much in mind with my deck building.
Yeah, I mean, it might well be that he's less popular now, but he's not going to be less good. Anyway, that's very much it for today. Hopefully we get more stuff banned or errated in the future, because this hasn't fixed the problem yet.
Yeah. Hopefully we get something new soon, and hopefully I can come back for when we do get that news.
Now, in the meantime, I'm going to be trying to build a Nomu. See you for that.
Yeah.
And see you for some of my other decks soon. Bye.
See ya.